Original music. The Sagniv One Radio Network.
Are taking on the number 21 Texas Longhorns. I'm still wondering when they're gonna be back. Sam Ellinger said they were gonna be back like 3 years ago.
Just comes to mind on that list that you're like, like this, they could shock the world. Nathan, you want this? Hold on,
Nathan, wait a minute, stop it, Skip.
How are we looking at this? Is this a walk off or is this gonna be like the Florida game?
Bama about 3 touchdowns.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
Well, what's the big thing?
Hello, and hello to you, and especially you back in the back chewing the gum real loud. Yes, I'm talking to you too. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls. It is Thursday, October 28, 2001. Welcome to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I am Anthony Handy, a.k.a. Mr. Fingers. Over here, that fella, to my immediate, whatever direction that is, I'm pointing because I got to point the other way to make it look like I'm actually pointing at him because he's not in the room, is my man, the shout-out king, Sean Spencer. And down here, just below, hanging out with us all the way from Ashburn, Virginia, by way of the great state of Georgia, my man Colin. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing?
Always good.
Fantastic.
Always good.
Fantastic.
Let's get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, and as always, as we say every week, we thank you for joining us. This week's episode is sponsored by DJG Enterprises and GreekGans.com. We'll be putting their logo up a little later for you to look at. They specialize in custom-made gear. You can get custom laser-engraved tumblers and custom-made Afghans with your favorite sports colors on them, your favorite sports logo. We can even put a picture of you in front of your team's mascot, whatever you want. We can make that happen. We can't do the logos because they're copyrighted. We have to say that every week to make sure we stay out of trouble. But if you want it, they got it, and we can get it for you. So we're going to get this whole thing rolling, gentlemen. You ready to get this? I swear to God, that dude.
Tennessee, man.
Every week, man.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I know y'all were going.
Hey, look, I definitely know last week they were saying, take us to another place.
Hey, not that first half. In that first half now, that first quarter, they led the first quarter 14-7. They was like, we shocking somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I know they were doing their thing. And in all fairness, their fans were rightfully excited because, not everybody gets to beat Bama. But you know what happened, right? You know what happened, right?
Of course.
Bama does what Bama do.
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened. So let's go ahead and get on into it, gentlemen. Let's get into this. We're going to get into the rundown. We're going to go back first and talk about a few things happened last week. First of all, since you brought up Tennessee, was that not the most insane thing you had ever seen?
Well, with the throwing stuff and
think about the fact that Tennessee was giving Alabama all they had. They were hyped about this game because the fans have been talking smack. Yeah. The Tennessee fans talk more smack about the Bama game than our good friend Wesley talked about the Kentucky-Georgia game.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all saw West talked more smack by himself than the rest of the Tennessee fans did talking about Bama. They gave Alabama all they had. I mean, left hook, right hook, uppercut. It was like listening to Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and they just couldn't get Bama down. And then in the fourth quarter, it was like in the fourth quarter, it was just like Rocky IV when the coach told them that up. It sounded like what he said.
No,
Mm.
Are we seeing the Bama that we thought we were going to see when the season started? Are we starting to finally see that? Are we seeing that Bama now? Or is it just that they just happened to draw Tennessee that week?
Tennessee's not a bad team. I mean, I know you rag on them. They're really not a bad team. Like Hendon Hooker, Hendon Hooker has 17 passing touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. You know what I mean? Maybe it's the people that they've played, maybe this and that. He has 416 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Like, he's not bad. And we've already said that, SEC, like, middle of the way and bad is equivalent to most other places in their top school because of the talent in the SEC. So, I mean, everybody shows up every week. We saw what Florida did. They came within a 2-point conversion of Alabama. So everybody shows up every week. But yeah, at the end of go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying it's just a longevity. It seems like Alabama just outlasts whoever they play. Like, I mean, you just said, you said that Tennessee gave them all they had. I guess they ran out of gas, and that's what normally happens. I mean, what I see, Alabama just, they, even if they're down in the first half, I mean, they did, and getting beat down. I mean, they just outlast their opponent, and that's just how I believe they win their, the majority of their games. I mean, with the talent they have as well. I mean, like you said, Sean, the SEC is full of talent. I mean, it's just how you're gonna just hang on with them. So whoever just can
for dear life.
Hold on.
Hold on for dear life.
Hold on.
I don't know. Maybe maybe they could have used this guy to come out like a jobber in a WWE. Could have used that guy. Could have come out and done a little something.
But to answer your question, Figures, I don't think it's not. I'm surprised to see the Bama that I'm seeing this year. I wasn't prepared to see what I've seen them do. You know what I mean? It's kind of surprising, but I mean they still are Bama. But I am surprised a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Bama, Bama is on a bye this week, as is Tennessee. There's not really that huge a slate of SEC games this week. Fortunately, there are a couple of games by our Big 12 brothers that are getting ready to come over our way. And that's where we're going to start this week. We're going to start with number 4, OU at 8-0, traveling down to face the 5-3 Texas Tech Red Raiders. That game is on 3:30 ABC. Texas Tech is another one of those teams that, Sean and I have talked about. They are just a small handful of teams in the Big 12 that always give the top guys the blues. Baylor is number 1. Kansas State is number 2. Iowa State is number 3. And number 4 is Texas Tech. I mean, if you remember, the 2 years ago Super Bowl MVP, the $500 million man, the guy that they're not sure whether they want to call him the baby goat anymore, Mr. Ketchup on his steak, Mr. Patty Mahomes, came from Texas Tech.
Yeah. Now, what's also plagued the Big 12 is the lack of defense. You know what I mean? So they definitely they play. There a lot of those. I mean, we saw what happened in the Red River rivalry, 55-48.
It's an absolute shootout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's an absolute shootout.
Yeah.
103, 113 points.
Yeah. I think that's what we're in for today in this game, because Texas Tech could put up some points.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's still, and here's the thing: the Big 12 is not sewn up yet. Even though right now Oklahoma is undefeated, you got a 1-loss Baylor, you got a 1-loss Oklahoma State, you got Texas Tech with 3 losses. So, and the Big 12 does not have. I was surprised to find this out. They don't have divisions like the SEC, the ACC. They don't have divisions. It's just the Big 12, and the top 2 get there. So you got a couple of 1-loss teams, a couple 2-loss teams, a couple 3-loss teams. Mathematically, Texas Tech is still able to get in. But here's their 4 games, though. And they got a rough road ahead of them. First, they're playing number 21 Iowa State. Then they're playing number 16 Baylor. Then they're playing number 5 Oklahoma State. And I know there's got to be a game in there somewhere that I missed, because that's 5-3. That's 8. there's a game missing.
And then Oklahoma this week.
And Oklahoma is the fourth game. They got Oklahoma. Thank you. I cannot math today. I told you.
You're from Georgia, man. That's not from too, man.
Hey. Watch your mouth now. Watch your mouth.
Hey. I know some of them, but maybe a missed me. I don't know.
I know how to. I know how to count 1, 2, 5th. That's all I need to know. Yeah, but here's the uphill climb. Texas Tech has not beaten Oklahoma since 2011, and even then that was a squeaker. It was 41-38. They beat them in Norman though, so I know that was a huge deal. And their overall record versus Oklahoma is 6-20, and this is just going back. This is just going back to 1992. This is not overall. I just went back about 20 some odd years, 29 years. Yeah. Now, here's the thing with Oklahoma. Their offense has got to come out strong, and they got to come out fast, and they got to come out hard. We know that the Big 12 is not known for defense, but the one thing that we know, no matter what conference you're in, if it's late in the season and you're coming into somebody's backyard to play them and you're undefeated and have a possibility of making a run to the championship or at least the playoffs, everybody's going to come out amped up to knock you off.
Yeah, what surprised me, I just looked this up, is that the line is a little bit lower than I'd expected. I mean, it's 19.5. So Oklahoma's only getting 19.5. So I mean that proves that goes along with your point. I figured it'd be a little bit higher than that, but with an unranked Texas Tech.
Yeah, but, I mean, like their offense after last week, they needed to, if that was nothing to if that wasn't enough to tell them that they need to come out and step on the gas, like Dom Toretta, and then hit the nos and just keep going until you get on the other side of the finish line. I mean, bro, they got held to 53 yards last week against Kansas in the first half.
Yeah.
53 yards. This is the same team that scored 55 points against Texas, and they laid 40-something points on TCU last week, a week before last. So they got to come out and they got to hit it because, just like you said, Sean, their defense is not getting the job done, and apparently they have some injuries, but they were injuries that they had over the course of the injuries that they had early in the season. Nobody that, because we keep checking. Maybe there's something to these undisclosed injuries that we keep seeing, because the press conference came out and they said that their defense they don't have all of their starters out on defense. Yeah. But, so they got to come out hard and fast because you can't. Oklahoma is not going to remain undefeated.
Do you think there's an adjustment period? Like in that first half, you and I were texting back and forth, and they didn't score any points. Kansas is perennially bad. You know what I mean? I know they had Les Miles last couple of years or whatever, but they're a basketball school. So for them to play that poorly, you think there's an adjustment period where they're kind of getting used to Caleb Williams? We saw what happened to Red Road Rivalry, but to playing every single game,
the entire game.
Yeah.
Like so far, it's been either a first half of brilliance or a second, or mainly he's been a second half player. Yeah. Like he really seems to take off in the second half. I don't know what that is. That's just what I've seen. I mean, come on, bro. Like, think about this. You're playing Kansas, who had one win so far all season. And then by halftime, the school is so happy. And I didn't know this. I was reading this week. The school is so happy that you are beating the undefeated, possibly potential Big 12 champions. I think they've been Big 12 champions at least 10, 11 years running now. The perennial Big 12 champion, you're beating them. You've held them scoreless and 58 yards in the first half. They opened the gates and told people to come in. I don't know if either of you watched the game. But
did they do that for real? Oh my God.
Come on.
I don't know. Seriously, I don't know if you I watched it. I was like, dang, I didn't think
you are witnessing a miracle.
I didn't think it was this many fans in the stands to begin with. It's like, I guess maybe the fans thought they weren't going to win. And then when they started winning, it's like, yeah, come on in. Come on. Hey, you got to come see this. We whooping them. Let's go. What does that say about what you're doing? Like, the time to realize, like, you can't really depend as an offense. you can't depend on the defense to get their offense off the field.
Yeah.
That much has been proven all season long. Oklahoma cannot depend, except for maybe 2 or 3 key drives a game, to step up and get the opposing offense off the field. So they have got to come out. I mean, come on now. Texas Tech is quite possibly statistically the best team that they've played all season so far. They still have Oklahoma State and Oklahoma State and Baylor to play later. But this is probably statistically the best team they've played all season.
Texas won. I think Texas is better than Texas Tech. I think definitely Texas is ranked or were ranked. I think they're better than Texas Tech. Texas Tech is 5-3. Who has Texas Tech played then?
This is what I'm going to tell you. Hold on. This is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to. Okay, Wesley. I'm going to pull up my stats for you.
Look, Texas Tech beat Kansas. They lost to TCU. Texas Tech beat West Virginia. They lost to Texas 70-35.
Good Lord.
Yeah, they beat FIU. They barely beat SF Austin, and they beat Houston.
Okay, but again,
Texas is better.
Again,
slightly, but better.
Did we not just say that the Big 12 is notorious for having quite possibly some of the worst defenses in all of the NCAA? We just had that discussion, right?
Yeah.
So they're not. Their defense is not that great either. I'm just talking about offense.
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely not great. Yeah,
I'm just talking about their offense and their offense's ability to score. Okay, I'll give you that. Texas. Okay, I'll give you that. Texas, then Texas Tech. Out of who Oklahoma has played so far. Yeah,
but to your point, Oklahoma's still gonna, I think, route. I mean, ESPN has them as an 88.6%, chance to win the thing.
Trust me. I feel you on this one. But here's some things to chew on. A lot of teams by this point, most of the teams by this point have had a bye week. This is a 12-game season. Oklahoma is getting ready to play their 9th straight game. They have not had a bye week yet. And now we're finding out they got players on the defense that are supposedly key players that are injured. So their second stringers have been having to hold this thing together with spit and chewing gum all season. And fortunately, they've been able to step up big when they need to, like Red River when Caleb came in, like against TCU, like last week against Kansas. They were just like, oh, hey, fellas, this is the fourth quarter. We actually should probably be playing because we don't want to lose, right? And so you know what I mean? So, but you can't keep counting on that week after week. This is your 9th straight game. Yeah. I believe they have a bye this week, and then they go on and play the week after. But dude, they played 9 straight games. And a lot of people were criticizing Lincoln Riley for giving the team the Monday off last week. I didn't know they were playing 9 straight games. I'm not mad at them. Hell, I'd be giving them.
They probably definitely needed it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
And it's not easy down the stretch, so they need a break.
Oh no, because their road.
I was going to say they played Baylor after their bye week.
Yeah. Baylor's 6-1.
Yeah,
I just saw that. Yeah, they're 6-1.
Yeah, they got. Oh my God, they've got on the back end. They also have. Where's my schedule here? They're also. I do know this much. I know they still have yet to play Baylor, who has 1 loss, and Oklahoma State, who has 1 loss, and and Iowa State. They also still have to play Iowa State, and Iowa State is no slouch either. So the back end of their schedule was backloaded heavy. So they can't. The offense just can't go out there and sleepwalk. Caleb has got to go out there and drink all the Michael Jordan juice and drink the Willie Beeman invisible juice and whatever else he needs. And they need to go out there and they need to pound Texas Tech in the mouth, because if they don't,
the next 3 games against top 25 teams. So you name Baylor, Iowa State, and then you got Oklahoma State. You got the in-state rivalry there.
Yeah,
and the next 3 games are top 25 contenders.
Yeah, so they were lucky to be playing Kansas. They were lucky to be playing Kansas last week. The way that offense was sleepwalking, because Baylor, Iowa, that's exactly who they got. Baylor, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State. Those are their last 3 games.
Anthony and Colin, I wonder if they overlook Texas Tech because they have 3 ranked opponents after that.
That's
You know what I mean?
You know what? They could. That's
They
been
definitely could.
that's been the scuttlebutt here is that they overlooked Kansas, which is why they came out so sluggish.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they won't be able to do if they get down to Texas Tech and get shut out in the first half of Texas Tech is going to put up more than just 10 points in that first half, and you're not going to be able to come back. I mean, well, we don't know. Maybe Caleb Williams be able to bring out more, heroics, but you just don't want to get down that far from Texas Tech. Like you said, Anthony, they're not a bad team. They're a good team, but not Oklahoma.
Right, but still, we talk about this every week. Any given Saturday, given Saturday, anybody can get it. A few weeks.
But I don't know. If there's any coming back if you lose to a Texas Tech. I don't think there's any coming back from them.
Oh no,
I don't think so.
It's already. I mean, everybody at this point, they are ranked in the top 4, strictly because of the fact that they are the reigning and long-running Big 12 champion, and the fact that they are undefeated.
Right.
And all it'll take is one loss to an unranked team. Now, if they lose to one of these other back 3, that might not penalize them so much. But if they lose to Texas Tech, I guarantee you they're dropping at least to 10. I guarantee you, because they
might drop them out of the 10.
Right.
They might drop them more than that, because I think Oklahoma State had climbed up to 8, and then they lost, and they dropped out of the top 10.
Yeah.
So
the way the Big Ten is running, and the way that you got a couple of these other little small schools kind of creeping up in there, you lose one of these games, they'll definitely drop you quick. Unless you're Alabama, and then they'll drop you to like 5.
I was going to say unless you're Alabama. They don't let it drop. Right. It don't matter who they lose to. They ain't dropping that top 5. They ain't
right.
If it was us, dude, Anthony, if it was me, if it was us, Georgia, it'd be probably number 8. I mean, if we'd have lost to them, we might be like 8 or 7.
What's that school? What's that school we like to talk about, Sean? Alabama could be playing Bug Tussle State.
Bug Tussle.
And Buck Tussle State University could be out there playing with their 3rd string and beat Alabama by a field goal.
Yeah.
In the last game before the SEC championship, Alabama could be ranked number 1. They're just dropping the number 2. They'd be like, oh, they were just
right.
They were just
a bad day. They just had a bad day. That's all.
It's just a bad day. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, look, this is what it comes down to. Nate always says, trust your eyes. I want to believe in Oklahoma. I like them as a squad. I like Lincoln Riley. I'm really enjoying living here in Oklahoma. I met some wonderful people, and the vast majority of the thing that I found is, you know how you live in an area and people tend to root for a team just based off of what they like? Like, that's the same thing here in Oklahoma. There's plenty of people here that didn't go to OU, but they root for OU. The only people around here that tend to root for OSU actually went to OSU. It's kind of Colin. Georgia. I was getting ready to say Georgia Tech. You don't find a lot of Georgia Tech fans unless they went to Georgia Tech or they grew up in Atlanta. Because I got a cousin that didn't go to college, but he roots for Tech because they represent the A. But like Nate said, trust your eyes. Nate said all the time, trust your eyes. And this is what I got for you. So far this season, the 8-0, number 4 ranked, who will probably be the Big 12 champion again this year. I hope I'm not putting anything on that by putting it out in the atmosphere. They have struggled against Texas, Nebraska, West Virginia, K-State, Texas, TCU, and Kansas. 7 of their 8 games. And here's the thing. In the Texas, Kansas, and TCU games, they didn't even take the lead until the 4th quarter in all 3 of those games. And 5 of those 7 games were decided by 5 points or less. And you can't win. You can win a Big 12 championship like that, but you definitely cannot win. You definitely can't win a CFP playoff game like that. You just can't. And even if you manage to draw the short straw and catch one of those 4 teams, one of those other 3 teams on a bad day, you're not winning the championship game. That's just not happening.
Yeah, you got to be more consistent.
Yeah. I mean,
I kind of would like to know the total scores of those games, though. Like, the games were won by less than 5 or less points.
Normally I would have all that stuff added up for you, but I'm trying to work less on stats. I'm trying to work
for who, Oklahoma?
Yeah. I'm trying to work on
we're talking about lack of defense, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about lack of defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to be high scoring games, every one of them.
I mean, what was the I don't have
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. TCU, they gave up 31. You talk about Red River Rivalry, they gave up 48. Kansas State, they gave up 31.
I think they let Tulane lay 30. Didn't Tulane get
Tulane put 35. They put 35 on them. And Nebraska held them to 23rd.
Stop there for a second. Stop right there for a second. Let's back up to the Tulane game.
Yeah,
those boys survived the hurricane. Had to train someplace else, and then instead of having a home game, got on a plane and flew, or maybe a bus, because Louisiana really ain't that far from here. They probably got on a plane. Got on a plane, flew to Oklahoma. Now, mind you, they did them the courtesy of letting them be in the home team, but they had to rearrange all of their plans on a day's worth of notice, couple days worth of notice. Came to Norman and dropped 35. Granted, they lost, but they dropped 35 on Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And Tulane is not a school that is known for being an overwhelmingly astounding football program.
No. Yeah, they're not often in the conversation.
Not with a game, not with a name like the Green Wave. So I mean, at the end of the day, for the Big 12, fourth quarter comebacks might be a big thing. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing more exciting than seeing a fourth quarter comeback, unless it's a team you absolutely hate and don't want to win. Devontae. But we ain't gonna talk about that. But I mean, it's not gonna win you a CFP. It's just not. So I am giving my edge. That makes you crazy. Does that make me crazy? I'm giving the edge to Texas Tech in this one. OU fans, Sooner fans, don't hate me. I love y'all. But y'all got to get right and get right fast, because Texas Tech might get you. I'm giving them the edge. I mean, Oklahoma's on a 9th straight game. The defense is giving way too many big plays, and the offense starts way too slowly. What y'all got?
Look, Anthony, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. We talked about it. I was talking to you all last weekend, Saturday. If we can, we can't pull up those texts, but we were going back and forth about what's going on with Oklahoma. You're not, Kansas is not a team that you can just say, oh, we were having a slow start. Kansas is traditionally, perennially poor. You know what I mean? So they're not putting that up. So Texas Tech could put up some points. I'm very worried about that, and I'm worried about if they can keep it up. We know about Mims. We know about Kennedy Brooks. They're doing it. Caleb still is young. Only 10 quarters. Let's we've all said pump our brakes on, the Heisman thing. He's special, but if they get down early, kind of like you were talking about in the Texas game, if they get punched in the mouth early and get down 21-7, 28-7, be careful.
I mean, I know that we have seen that Caleb has the ability to bring the team back, but I mean, it's just like oh God, I can't even remember his name. It was here that went away. Barrett Dondarrion, this with the flaming sword from Game of Thrones. There's only so much life you can pull up out of you, week in and week out. Mm-hmm. And eventually, at some point, your bag of tricks will run out. It's just like when Tebow had the playoff run with Denver. He kept catching lightning in the bottle every week, but they kept saying, I mean, the competition gets tougher the deeper you go. So yep. I think he won 2 playoff games, and then he got stopped short.
Just one.
Yeah, just the one? Okay.
He got one, and then he went up against New England, and they destroyed him.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're going to keep this thing moving along, staying on that same vein while we're talking about Oklahoma. The saga continues, man. The saga continues. All of the scuttlebutt is, will he or won't he, or is he a contributor, or is he a detractor? Haven't heard much more about what's going on with Spencer Rattler. But I did manage to get my hands on another exclusive this week.
Uh-oh.
I got my hands on an exclusive this week.
Let's go.
So in the NFL, one of the things they specialize in is getting mic'd up. Apparently somebody was able to with one of those long range microphones catch Spencer Rattler. I know you saw him on the sidelines having some conversation during the game.
Oh yeah, man!
Actually managed to catch audio, so I want to share that with you, ladies and gentlemen. Here is this week's exclusive.
Is gonna be great.
Spence, you see my man Caleb throw that touchdown? Yeah, man. You talking about the touchdown? You mean the one he threw the interception? Yeah, shit, put me out there. They wouldn't have been no interception. Shit, it wouldn't have been my touchdown. If they let me get back on the field, I wonder if I'm gonna have to get that car back.
Oh, Spencer, don't hate us, Spencer.
Nah, man, Spencer, keep your head up, young brother. It happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. Yeah, I wonder if I'm gonna have to get that car back. Oh boy, that was this week in SEC. I'm sorry, I'm going to hell for that one. There's the worse things than that I could probably go to hell for. This is just not even remotely close on the list. All right, we're gonna keep this thing moving along. Those of you just joining us, welcome to This Week in SEC Football. Here with my homies, the shout-out king, Sean Spencer, and my man's Colin. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. I got it there.
Bring it on down.
The dogs.
Bow. So everything is, I got to point that way. There we go. I got it. All right. The jacked up thing is, at home, I have to point the opposite direction to get to y'all. Like, and at home, looking at the screen is Sean's right there and you're right there, but that's not how I look on the screen. Anyway, we get silly over here, y'all. Don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, boo-boo. We gonna get you a heart, a brain, some courage, and we gonna send your little simple behind home because we sick of you whining about them red shoes. I know plenty of women in the hood that would be happy to have a pair of red bottoms, boo-boo. Anyway. Moving on, keeping it going. Texas is at number 16 Baylor. That was at 12 p.m. on ABC. Who y'all got? I'm gonna let y'all go first. Who you got in what?
Colin, who you got, man?
I have to go with Baylor, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yes, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, man.
Well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and make it unanimous. But here's the caveat: we know that Casey Thompson has been inconsistent in his quarterback play this year. I mean, he's been a decent quarterback. He's been inconsistent, but when he is on, he is on. I mean, we talked about Red River earlier. He threw for 5 touchdowns in Red River rivalry, at 20 or 34 for 388 and 5 touchdowns to be more specific. I mean, the kid, when he gets going, he can really get going. And then you add to that probably his biggest weapon, Bijan Robinson, back there in that backfield. Mm-hmm. I mean, the kid's got 924 yards and 10 TDs. He will probably break the 1,000-yard mark this week in this game, more than likely, because the kid's a grown man. What's funny? The two probably two of the most dominant running backs in college football this year, both named Robinson. The other one, first name is Brian, over at Bama. But seriously, when he's hitting on all cylinders, man, he's an absolute beast. But the biggest thing with Baylor is Baylor also has a really good quarterback. He's got he doesn't get sacked as much. Jerry Bohannon, 12 TDs to 1 interception. He handles the ball. He holds the ball a lot better. So he's only got 5 sacks, or he's only been sacked 5 times, as opposed to Casey Thompson getting sacked 10 times. And he's thrown in a couple of rushing TDs. So I'm actually going to give that edge to Baylor as well. Baylor is 5-1 and trending in the right direction right now. Texas locked up their 3rd loss this past week. So I'm definitely give the edge to Baylor in that one. I'm not going to spend too much time on that one because we took a whole lot of time talking about Oklahoma And we got other stuff we want to talk about. Not knocking Oklahoma. It's just so many parts to take. It's so many things to take apart. Like,
the Baylor's actually picked by 2.5. I was going to throw that out there. So they're picked by 2.5, and it is a home for Baylor. So I mean that was, part of my decision there as well. Yeah, putting them on the winning side.
Yeah, No, I mean, Baylor has been one of those programs that's been at the forefront of Big 12 play, but hasn't been as dominant. I mean, Oklahoma has always, when it comes to domination in that conference, Oklahoma's been king. I think there was a lot of back and forth between them and Nebraska when Nebraska was still in that conference. But
wasn't that RG3? Didn't RG3 come out there?
Yeah, RG3 came out of Baylor. Heisman winner out of Baylor.
Now Texas. Hey, Texas is their record. They're 4-4, and they've beaten teams like Texas Tech, and they've been in ball games with Oklahoma's in Texas. But they lost to Arkansas. They're one of the teams that kind of put Arkansas on the map. They pushed them up in that loss, and that's when they were ranked.
Come on, let's be real though. We had that conversation earlier.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's why Texas is not. They're good. They'll stay in the game, but they're not gonna dominate.
Right, but that's a testament. That's a testament to the teams that are currently in the SEC. That a team like Arkansas, can say, okay, we're going to come over here and face your biggest and your baddest, and we're going to punch them in the mouth. And that's exactly what they did. So, is
Texas the current biggest and baddest? Are they like top? I mean, no, we know what they are like historically, but like in the last couple of years, I might put them as like fourth.
I won't say biggest and baddest. I will say they have consistently been in the top 4 in the conference.
This year, I would say I'd go Oklahoma, OK State, maybe a Baylor, and then maybe I'd think Texas. And maybe I'm thinking of other teams.
This year, I'd actually put Texas Tech ahead of Texas.
Right. Well, that's fifth. So Texas.
Again, look at the two programs you're talking about. You're talking about Texas, who is a very storied American college football program. Regardless of where they are right now, they're a very storied program. And then we're talking about Arkansas, who I got that same joint.
Oh no! I was saying in regards to the Texas Baylor game. I was saying in regards to that game, not.
Oh, I was still talking about Arkansas. I'm just saying. I was in referring to the whole big bad wolf. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like
yeah, I'm lost. I'm sorry.
It's just like if Gary Coleman was still alive and Dan played up, if the whole cast of Different Strokes was still alive and they had a reunion show and Arnold went back to his old school and he had and they were having a reunion and it was him and the Gooch on the playground. Now the Gooch is older, he'd have got fat, but to Arnold, he's still the Gooch. So that's what I was looking at as far as Arkansas going in and beating up on Texas. Yeah. And I think I spent way too much time explaining that. So we gonna keep moving on. Next up, Missouri versus Vandy. 3 p.m. on the SEC network. I'm actually surprised that this one is on television.
Me too. Well, that's why we got the SEC network. They can throw the.
All of the hardcore gamblers, watch out for this game. This might be high scoring.
Oh yeah,
it'll be garbage. It'll be all garbage numbers, but
on the Missouri side, yes.
Ooh,
Missouri has no defense.
Yeah, Missouri has no defense, but Vandy don't have no offense.
I was going to say before you got Vandy out of your mouth, I was going to pick whoever Missouri played. I don't know. Whoever's Missouri playing.
Yep.
But I was just looking at the line. It's 16.5. Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So are they giving the edge to Vanderbilt?
Oh no! I'm sorry. I missed.
No.
Missouri.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say somebody. Wow. Okay. The fix is definitely in. Don't drink your Gatorade, Carter. Yeah, I'm giving the edge to Missouri. I mean, Connor Bazelak is 1,920 yards, 12 touchdowns. and he's got a running back in Tyler Beatty. 735 yards and 12 touchdowns. That tells me all you need to know. I mean, Connor's going to be throwing the ball all over the place. I think Vandy will put some points on the board because this is probably the least formidable defense that they will face all season. No, I take that back. Maybe South Carolina was a couple of weeks ago because it took South Carolina everything they had to beat Vandy. Like they had to kick a last-second field goal. But this might be the least prolific defense they face all season. So, and my edge goes to Missouri, but my prediction is that Vanderbilt will score at least 18 points this game. At least 18 points.
I can see that.
That's what I'm going with that. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. We got number 12, Kentucky, is going on down to play Mississippi State. That edge, gentlemen, what's your thoughts?
I don't know. Go ahead, Sean. I was going to go. Actually, I'm looking for. I guess Kentucky's their number 12. So I'm looking for the upset. I think Mississippi State's going to beat them.
Oh, really?
I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, Anthony. Hey, Colin. I think Colin's right. Anthony, you talked about Will Rogers. You know, that offense, that Mike Leach offense, we know they can pass over the top. Kentucky, they had the bye week and everything, but their last taste is from playing y'all and losing to y'all. I think Will Rogers is going to take advantage of that. Yeah. I think they're going to pass all day all over him. I agree.
I mean, I think it's going to be a close.
Yeah, because once we opened it up on them, there really wasn't a whole lot they were able to defend. And Will Rogers is definitely I'm not taking anything away from Stetson Bennett, but Will Rogers has been lights out. Now, granted, probably a lot of that garbage time because they're not that great a team and they're playing from behind a lot.
No, a lot of that is air raid offense. The air raid offense is like you will throw 98% of the time and you may have like 5 or 6 runs. And some of those are like it's because you have wide receiver screens behind the line of scrimmage that are considered runs. So they're doing is throwing. Mike Leach is infamous for that, or famous for that. You know?
Yeah. Well, I definitely am giving the edge to Kentucky, and I'm giving the edge to Kentucky just based on what I've seen from them. I do think Chris Rodriguez has himself a nice little game. I think he has a nice comeback game after being shut down because he's got some scores to settle after 2 weeks ago. I mean, he's definitely salty about that. Keeping the thing moving. Number 10, Ole Miss goes down to Jordan Hare to face number 18, Auburn. That one at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Gentlemen, your thoughts and go.
Is anybody else surprised that Auburn's 5-2?
I'm very surprised at
That's me. I was kind of like, really? I don't know why I thought. I mean, Anthony, we've been talking about Bo Nix all year. I don't know why I thought maybe, they were young, less than that, but I don't know.
I only thought they're. I thought the 2 losses would be maybe us or Bama. You know what I mean? I didn't think they would have any other losses than that.
Right.
I thought they were. I also thought they were going to. I also thought that they were going to be better off at this point in the season. Well, they only really have 1 loss more than what I thought they would have. So, but that was until I saw Bo Nix play. But I mean, they got a case of the sorry Sooners fans. They got a case of the Oklahoma Sooners this year. It's like they're winning in spite of. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bo Nix is a little bit for me like Casey Thompson. It depends on which one you get. It depends on which one you get. And yet and still, Coach Harsin is a strong backer of Bo Nix, despite the fact that he's got a backup who has proven himself to be capable. But right now, Bo's got the hot hand. So
he gets the job done. I mean, let's be honest. They lost the 2 teams they lost to was your Georgia Bulldogs, y'all's Georgia Bulldogs, that defense is unstoppable, and they still. I don't know if it was the offense. I don't know. They put up 10 points. I don't know if Bo Nix or any of them did that. But the only other team they lost to was Penn State. Penn State, I know they lost the game, but Penn State is still a very solid, I think, potentially January bowl team. You know what I mean? Depending on what happens in the next couple of weeks. And, the Big Ten, they're playing each other. A lot of those teams play each other. But Auburn, from right here, I mean, they beat a ranked Arkansas team. We know what happened against an LSU. Auburn, Colin, Dick, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Like I said, the game that stuck out to me was the Penn State game. I mean, like you said, Penn State was a solid team. But I mean, we beat them pretty good at the beginning of the season. But like I said, I figured the 2 losses they would have. I didn't figure they'd have 2 this early. I figured they'd have 1, with us, and I figured they would kind of, suffer that second loss later down the season, like toward the end of it. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised at that 2 losses this early.
Well, it is what it is. And they breaking news, they may be without a coach here soon because it finally came out that Coach Harsin is opposed to getting vaccinated, supposedly. So he may be losing his job here soon, which does not bode well for if, whatever their bowl chances are. Now, granted, the regular season, I believe the regular season should be over at that point. No, because we're at week 9 this week, and then we got 3 more weeks. Yeah, the regular season will be over by then. But if things play out the way that they have, I don't see. I see 1 more loss for Auburn, maybe, and they're already, they're bowl eligible with 6 wins. So
I mean, look at what they have left. I mean, they have Ole Miss left. They got A&M. They got Mississippi State. They got South Carolina, and then Bama's the last game of the season, which it always is, right?
Yeah, they always play the
that A&M game. That A&M game is going to be a bar and burner, man.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And like Jim Ross said, that's going to be a slobber knocker.
Slobber knocker.
There'll be old slobber knocker.
Hey. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I don't see anybody that could really potentially have trouble with it. I mean, except for A&M and then Bama.
And A&M, and you cannot take A&M for granted. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, Ole Miss too. Why you joking? Because Ole Miss is no slouch. So they're literally, except for Mississippi State and South Carolina, they got a little bit of a murderer's road to get through to the end of the season. So they're at least at this point they have 6 wins and they're bowl eligible. And I see them at a minimum, if they're at an absolute minimum, getting 2 more wins, so that would give them 8 wins. So at the worst, I see them being 8-4. But I'm giving the edge to. Oh my God, I got it right here.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Be right back. Oh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm giving the edge. Oh, that's the Ole Miss game that we were just talking about. That's a tough one. I think I'm gonna go with Ole Miss in this one. Although I'm giving the edge to Ole Miss here, just because of Matt Corral. Period. I mean, Bo Nix is a baller, but Matt Corral is. Well, here's the thing: Ole Miss has got to hope that Matt Corral does not get hurt between now and January. Because he is basically accounting for 3/4 of their offensive output.
Well, right.
His arm and his feet. So
right.
But again, right now, as it is, he's healthy. As far as we know, he's healthy. He doesn't have the undisclosed injuries. So I'm giving the edge to Ole Miss in this one. But I do think this is a game that has the potential to turn out to be a trap game for Ole Miss.
Well, yeah, for the reason that you just said, the Matt Corral thing and all the spotlight and everything that's going on him is actually kind of why I go with Auburn, because I think that Auburn gets up for this game as being okay. They put they had Alabama on the ropes. Ole Miss is this top tier team. They have this Heisman ranked quarterback. Let's show them that we're not just a slouch. And I think they play up against this game and then fall to like Bo Nix, has a normal falls to like a normal like Joe Blow somewhere else down the line. I think they play up for this. I think they get the upset. Or because they're 18th. So yeah.
Oh, you said so. You think they're gonna come down there and Hulk smash, huh? Okay.
I think Auburn. It's gonna be high scoring. I think Bo Nix is gonna be able to gunsling with him, but I think they're gonna come up with the upset.
Oh, Bo is definitely not one to be outdone. I will say that for certain.
Right.
No, he's come out with some. He came out with some circus plays. I mean, we've already seen that this year, and he's the one to get out and run out of the pocket and make some some really really good decisions. Yeah, but I'm kind of glad with you, Sean. I mean, it definitely could potentially be an upset. Like you said, be close, I think, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this week in SEC football, episode 7, here with shout out King Sean Spencer and my homie Colin from my fellow Georgia boy right here. And we getting ready to get into this in just a second. But fellas, what I want to talk to y'all about right now, I was doing some digging and I was looking. I'm a guy, or Sean, our running joke is, as an analyst. You
need to invite that guy on the show, man. Like, what's his name? Bo something? I didn't mean to name drop. Yes, I did. Yo. Right. Tell that story, Anthony. Yo, that guy tried to sit here and.
Oh, I think Colin saw it because he's in the group too. That was the week that the week leading up to Georgia, Kentucky, and somebody was talking about. Oh, Wesley was talking his talk, and I put a comment on the thing. I put a comment on the thread that said, "As an analyst, I beg to differ." And some dude was like, "Oh, so you just gonna throw your creds out there like that now?" And I was like, I was like, hold up, bro, hold on a second. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a sports journalist. I'm just a guy, a nerd who likes to look at numbers. And what the numbers tell me, what I see on paper, is that Georgia holds the advantage in every category leading into this game. And then he started like, "Oh yeah, well let me see your stats." And then that was around the time when Wes in the live feed was like, "Oh yeah, Anthony, oh yeah, let me see stats. I mean, tell me how many sacks that they're gonna have in order for us to win. Tell me how many times we're gonna have to sack the Stetson postal substitute carrier in order for," like, he was just going off. And all I said was, as an analyst, and that just triggered 2 people. that triggered Wesley in the video and this dude in the comment section.
Dude, the only stats they need to worry about is the win and loss. I mean, those 2 columns, win and loss column. They don't need to worry about that.
Exactly. And, I've seen games. I've seen games a quarterback that got sacked 6 times and still managed to pull off a win. So the stats in themselves are just an indicator of what you're looking at beforehand that tells you whether or not. Now, sometimes the stats can lie to you. See 2007 Giants versus Patriots, because the Giants were not supposed to win that game. But anyway. But I was looking at these. I digress. I was looking at some things, and a very surprising number jumped out at me. If I were to ask you guys how many teams right now mathematically eliminated from winning their division and potentially going to the SEC championship game, how many would you say? Like eliminated. How many are eliminated?
Come on, in the conference? In the SEC conference, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just throw a number at me.
I would say 4.
What say you, Sean?
I'd say 2.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, you both would be wrong. The answer is 1.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And I think we all know which one that is.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt currently has an 0-4 conference record. Now they have 5 games left. They have 4 conference games left, but the caveat is that Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Tennessee, and South Carolina all only have 3 conference games left. So there's no way they could take the top spot in that division. But on the other side of the fence, but check this out. And granted, like hell would have to freeze over, and the dinosaurs would have to come back, and a whole bunch of the DC comic universe would have to make 2 consistently good movies in a. I mean, God bless them. I love them, but they make 1 good movie and 1 bad movie, and 1 good movie and 1. The only exception to that policy so far has been you got to go all the way back to Michael Keaton, where you got Batman,
yep.
Batman and Batman Returns, and then you have to come a little forward to the Dark Knight. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. But we ain't go get on all of that. So, but Missouri still has 5 games left. They're 0-3. They got 5 games left. They win all 5 of those conference games, and something catastrophic happens to all the teams in front of them. It might come down to some funky head-to-head numbers, but they would wind up winning the conference. And then the West is still not tied up. Even Arkansas with a 1-3 conference record, they got 4 conference games left.
How many conference losses does LSU have? They're 4-4. I mean,
LSU's at 2-3. But they got 3 games left. Bama, Arkansas, and A&M. Now they've already lost to Ole Miss. And they've already lost to Ole Miss, and they've lost to Auburn. So if it comes down to tiebreaker, but again, if some funky stuff happened to these guys at the top of it, because in order in the West is Bama, Ole Miss, Auburn, A&M, Mississippi State, surprisingly, LSU, and Arkansas. So, yeah, the divisions are not. I mean, the conference is not yet locked up, gentlemen. Now I know I have a pretty good idea how things are going to go. We all do, but it's crazy to think that at 9 weeks into the season, there's still a possibility for something crazy to happen. Man, I mean, it's like that all the way across the board. Nobody has it locked up yet. Gold and Blue guy. Shout out to Gold and Blue guy. He's a huge West Virginia. He's got a West Virginia YouTube page. He does all things Mountaineers, but he also talks all college football. He had a crazy thing out today. He was like, here's what would have to happen for complete chaos to reign in the Power 5. And he started running down these scenarios, and I was like, dang, that's crazy. He ran down scenarios where every team that won a conference in the Power 5 had 2 losses. And it's still entirely possible with these games left. We're praying that it doesn't happen. We don't think that it will happen, but that's just where that is. So, having said all of that, y'all know what it is. Y'all already know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this coming Saturday, the number one dogs from Athens, Georgia. And now let all the Bulldog faithful rally around the men who wear the red and black with 2 simple words that exemplify the sentiments of the entire Bulldog Nation. Go Dogs. I did that to the wrong song. That's normally with the battle hymn of the Bulldog Republic, but I didn't feel like waiting for the battle hymn of the Bulldog Republic, and I would not ever think to ever attempt to compete with the late, great, quite possibly one of the best radio announcers, college football announcers ever. I have never heard any other sports announcer break his chair in his excitement over the Dogs winning the game. A steel chair bolted into a concrete slab.
Yep.
If you've ever heard,
and back in the day when you had the announcers not I guess it was unprofessional to give bias, and he was definitely a dog, and you could tell it the way he talked on the radio.
Yeah, it was a game again. It was a Georgia-Florida game, and Lindsey Scott broke open the. How long was it, Colin?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how long. We were backed up in our end zone, and I know
Lindsey Scott took that ball and rumbling, stumbling, bumbling all the way down.
Run, Lindsey.
And all you heard was "Run, Lindsey! Run, Lindsey! Lindsey Scott! Lindsey Scott! Lindsey Scott!" And then afterwards, he said, "I seem to have broken my chair."
I stood up and I sat down right through a chair, a steel chair.
So,
that was great.
So, yeah.
So, going on with that is, I wonder, have you? I mean, it seems like, well, I know where I grew up, wherever. But most people did actually turn the sound off of the television and had to bring the radio into the living room and watch the game or wherever they were.
That's how we did it.
Listen to Lindsey, or not Lindsey, but listen to
I mean, me 9-year-old me not knowing that knocking on the door meant that they were in the red zone. Like that was before the red zone was even invented. So he would say, and the Bulldogs are knocking on the door. And I had this mental image. I was like, do they have a door on the sidelines that the team is actually knocking on? And I asked my dad that one time. I was like, Dad, what does it mean that they're knocking on the door? He said, son, that means they're within goal to go. And I was like, well, why did he just say that? I told my dad, I said, I literally thought they had a door on the sideline and they was knocking on the door. He said, don't tell nobody you said that. But the late great Larry Munson, who is also a football god to all followers of the red and black, and to this day is immortalized with the battle hymn of the Bulldog Nation at every home game. Every home game.
Actually, it was never on the 30-yard line, never 35. It was always the 35 and a half or the 32 and a half. It was always a half-yard line.
Oh yeah, and he has to say it like you got your boy talking about the slobber knocker. And Keith Jackson talk about a barn burner.
Hobnail boot.
Wait till you talk about the dogs have stepped on their necks with our hobnail boots.
Exactly.
They say what? Well, anyway, Colin, you and I talked about this ad nauseum on Monday, but we're here with our man Sean. So Sean, I want to get your thoughts first, and then we'll jump in. So, what do you got? What do you got? What is it that you see about this game this weekend? How you think it's going to go down?
I think we need to start with the elephant in the room, and that's the defense. Georgia's defense is head and shoulders above anybody that they've played. They are dominant. I think you said they had 40 some odd points that 46. They've given. 46 points that they've given up all season. This is an NFL defense playing in college. So I think that's going to play a huge thing. And look, we talked about Alabama. They a lot of their guys went to the pros. This is a new setup and everything. Florida, before we saw the Alabama lost to Texas A&M, Florida took Alabama to the limit. Only losing by 2. So Alabama's D maybe is a little less than we may have given them credit for in the beginning of the year. So I'm kind of feeling like, Georgia right now is head and shoulders above Florida. The 2-quarterback system, I don't know how long that can run for, especially when they're the leading rushers on the team. So,
right.
I like Georgia, but in this game, I mean, you guys know about it. I mean, it goes back and forth. I mean, it's easy to say that you guys are going to take this, but this is definitely one of those games that's like, all right, watch out. Watch out. Don't sleep. This could definitely be a shocker if you let it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And one of the things about Georgia, Florida is it doesn't matter if Georgia's leading the division, if Florida's leading the division, or we're both rolling around in the trash bins at the bottom of the division. We beat the ever-loving hell out of each other every time we get together on that weekend. It's just one of those. It's just like the Iron Bowl in Alabama. It's just like the Egg Bowl in Mississippi when Mississippi State plays Ole Miss.
Yep.
We show up and we beat the ever-loving hell out of each other. There have been some blowouts, but generally speaking, there's a whole lot of anticipation leading up, and I mean. Those boys have been on campus all week. I'm pretty sure they've been at pep rallies and they've done television spots, and coach has been amping them up. I know Kirby's been getting them amped up all week. I don't know if Dan Mullen is got that same. Well, Kirby also is able. One of the things about Kirby, he's able to get the guys up because Kirby played at Georgia. Kirby he was a DB, wasn't he, or a linebacker?
No, he was a linebacker. Yeah.
He was a linebacker. He actually posted an interception during one of the Georgia Florida games. They love to show it. They love to show it every year leading up to Georgia Florida week, whether it's on ESPN or CBS or whatever. Him making an interception as he's running off the catches the interception, runs out of bounds. So he's lived it. He's been on the field. He's gone head to head with these guys. So he is definitely a master getting these guys up for this game. So, yeah, I mean, the most that we can think that what's going to happen with Florida is maybe one of them's going to try and grab Stetson Bennett's shoe and throw it down the field or something. So that's what I've got. Kind of what you got, man.
From what I was reading, I read a little some things earlier today about Mullins. Well, actually, both coaches are actually keeping a lot of things close to the vest and not revealing too much of anything. And I don't know, like Sean said, and like you mentioned, it could be it's always a dogfight, and it's always sometimes it's who has the ball last, or I don't know. Like you said, we kick the crap out of each other. And it's going to be definitely a good game.
Yeah, that's about where I am with it too. I mean, Sean, Colin's been watching. Colin's been one of our steadfast watchers this season so far. But you and I have talked ad nauseum after about game 3. We was like, "Yo, that defense though," and then next week, "Yo, that defense though," and now it's like, "Yo, that defense." It's like the defense is just, it's like Mike Tyson. My style is the Petsy, was my defense.
Now listen. I do have to say this. You guys are both Dogs fans. I am definitely in the minority on this, but I have to be very honest with you. I watched that team. I've watched you all year, especially more that we've done this show. It does remind me a lot of some of those great, amazing defenses like you alluded to last week on the show. The Chicagos and the Ravens and
the people eaters.
There's purple people. Yeah. But if you think about some of those teams, the Ravens, who was their starting quarterback at the end of the year? Trent Dilfer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The Bears had Jim McMahon. Well, hey, he was great at BYU, but in the NFL, he was middle of the road, when healthy. You have some of these teams. I think one of the issues is it mirrors the Steelers of last year. Amazing defense, head and shoulders above, like dominates the game. Nothing like these amazing stats, but then it hides some of the issues that might be going on your offense. I love Zamir. I love Zeus. I love the running game you guys got. I'm very interested in seeing you guys in a game that might be tougher offensively. We go back to the Clemson game. Hey, Clemson is not who they used to be, but that defense is. Clemson's defense. I watch ACC. I'm a North Carolina guy. I've told you guys that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching ACC every single week. Clemson has definitely fallen off, but that defense is the only thing that's kind of stayed the same over there. And you guys struggled with that, which is probably the best defense you're going to play all these that you've played up to this point. Kentucky's good, but I don't think they're
what kind of issues are like? What would you kind of pick out? You said you're what would you think?
My thing is
let me see your stats, man.
No. My thing. No. Look, I like Stetson. Look, I like your quarterback. I like the mailman. I think he's good. I think he's great. But I think he's definitely some slight inconsistencies that might be coming from him have been hidden because the defense is so overwhelmingly good. Now, this is not something that's going to show up anytime soon. I think it's going to be something when it hits the SEC championship and that Final Four. That's something where I'm like. Because I got a diehard buddy, Colin. I don't know if you know. I've told Anthony I have a diehard. One of my best friends is from Butts County, Georgia. He's born and bred. It loves Atlanta. Loves the Georgia Bulldogs. Loves the Braves. So I was on the phone with him when during the Super Bowl. I was on the phone with him at halftime when you guys were up 13-0. And I've been at therapy with him. So I that's why I have a special love for you guys because I know what you're going through. So that's the only thing I'm saying.
I don't feel good about any game we play until 0-0-0-0 on the clock. and then the game is over, and we're on the winning side. I don't say nothing. I've learned my lesson. I don't say nothing to nobody. As being a Georgia fan, you learn to kind of deal with those kinds of.
Wait a minute.
When I say to somebody, I said, "Look for the best and prepare for a letdown."
Let's put a little extra pepper on it. As a realistic Georgia fan, you understand? Because I like when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl, and I cannot recollect what Super Bowl number it was. I just know it was Denver that we played.
That was 33.
I said, we are good, but our number one weapon on the offense is a little dinged up. Jamal Anderson. He's a little dinged up. So that leaves Andre Rison. And then our number one DB got himself in a little trouble downtown with a lady police officer. So it was a case of nobody told them act like you've been there before. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't expecting. It was John Elway, man. Yeah, I love the Falcons, but this was peak John Elway. This wasn't John Elway in his final years. This was peak John Elway,
and it was the other boy too.
Oh, Shay.
Oh yeah. It was Shay's last hurrah.
I wasn't Shay back then. I would just go by Shay Shaw. But that was me on the sidelines. To see me with the telephone, on the sideline. One of y'all need to get on the line and call Roger Goodell because they need help out here. Call Roger Goodell. But I wasn't Shay back. I wasn't Shay then. We were trying to do something for but fortunately though, that was before social media and video cell phones. So it's a lot of things. It's what happened in the Super Bowl stay in the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, I said to myself, at this point, I'm just happy the Falcons win. At this point, I'm happy we can say we beat Dennis Green and the Minnesota Vikings. Mm-hmm. Legendary. He won't necessarily be remembered as a legendary coach for his coaching skills, but he will definitely be remembered for the Bears are who we thought they were. But that's a whole nother story. But then when we went to the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago to face off against the Patriots, I said that year I came outside of myself that year because I had been a lifelong fan. I had seen them lose the Super Bowl. I said to myself, "This
is the year."
And I feel a little sermon coming on here. I feel the preacher coming out. I said to myself, "This is the year. Mm-hmm. This is what we labored for. Mm-hmm. This is what we toiled for all those years." I had to read the microphone. I had to call. All those years of laboring in vain. All those years of 6-win seasons and half-empty stadiums, and Ted Turner not knowing whether he want to be with Jane Fonda or build a new stadium. This is what we labor for. This is the scripture that I have been preaching to him that endure. Because we weren't the fastest, we were not the swiftest, but we were going to win the race. We were not the strongest, but we were going to win the fight. Then them Bama's went in the locker room and came out and played like some garbage.
Right?
That would hurt me.
Oh, yeah.
And understand, I believe that was all in the same year because it was the month before that Georgia had just lost to Alabama.
Yeah.
So for the same reason. I had just watched Devontae sneak behind a whole secondary. And that was the secondary that had been playing ball. I mean, those dudes. Yeah. Like I said, I would take that secondary. If you took that secondary and put it with this year's front seven, oh, Jesus. Mm-hmm. Would nobody score nothing. Yeah. It's like the song saying, "Nothing from nothing, leave nothing, boo-boo. You ain't going to get nothing. Don't even come over here. You going to throw it. You can roll it. You can smoke it. You can do like a TV commercial and put the ball in the baby stroller. You ain't going to get nothing because we going to send back everything. Everything.
To that point right there, and I told you concerns, Sean, is that you had an offensive concern. I have a defensive concern for a different reason, though. We have an awesome front. We have an awesome front.
Yeah.
But we haven't opened ourselves up. Our secondary is a little bit suspect, in my opinion.
Well,
I'm saying they opened themselves up for a big play that could potentially, change the game or something like that. But
right.
we haven't had that happen because of our defense. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I have to speak to that, though. The front seven has been so nasty, the quarterbacks really haven't had time to throw the ball.
Exactly.
Very true.
I mean,
I agree with you. Absolutely. I agree.
And realistically speaking, let's look at who we got. Let me pull this back out and see who we got left. We've got left after Florida. We got Missouri, Tennessee, Charleston Southern, and Georgia Tech. Now tell me which one of them teams got an offensive line so great that they gonna keep Big Baby Davis out of there. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Not a one.
Mm-mm.
So now, like you said, with the time to really worry about it is when we get to, if all things play out like we think they're going to, when we get to the SEC championship, who are we going to play? And we know right now that it's more than likely either going to be Bama or it might be Ole Miss, depending on how it play out. Because somewhere in there, Alabama's a little suspect on defense. And somebody's going to figure out a way out of those teams that they have left. And Bama has Auburn, A&M, Vanderbilt, and MSU. So it's going to be one of these. Not Bama. That's not Bama. That's Ole Miss. Bama has LSU, Arkansas, and Auburn left. Now, of those three teams, I think either LSU or Auburn, and these are just conference games, I think one of them teams is going to figure out a way to knock old Nick off the pedestal. I'm not gonna say mark my word, but I'm definitely I'm willing to put 50 cents on it, and that just say something because I don't gamble money. If I spend any amount of money on a wager, that means I'm pretty confident. So I'm really confident that either LSU is going to because I don't think that I think Coach O has tapped out.
Yeah, he's gone.
I think he's tapped out. He's gonna do what he needs to do to get through these next few weeks, and he's tapped out. I think those boys are going to get themselves together at some point, and they're going to say, well, we got Bama coming. Let's go ahead and get our stuff together and knock these boys off.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do what we saw Texas A&M do. Texas A&M ain't no better than us. Let's knock these boys off. We see where the weaknesses are. Let's make it happen. So I think whoever it is that we face in the SEC championship, whoever it is that we face, we make it as far as the playoffs. Whoever it is that we face, we make it to the national championship. I think that's what we need to be worried about. Because I mean, there's nobody left on this schedule but Florida right now that I can foresee. But Florida. And even then, Florida, their quarterbacks got to run half. That's why they got so many yards, because they're running for their life half the game.
Yeah.
So that's just what I see. So the secondary has just not really been tested. I don't think that, but just watching the way they play on the field, though, I think they got the potential to be absolutely nasty. Like you see how they drop back in the coverage, and as soon as they realize it's a run play, you like, where these 8 jokers come from?
Yeah, their closing speed's insane. Yeah, absolutely.
It's ridiculous. That tackle that Nakobe Dean made against Kentucky, where it was some kind of he dropped back in the coverage, and as he was dropping back, he almost immediately switched gears because he never took his eyes off the backfield, and he saw that it was like a screen pass or a pitch or something, and Nakobe Dean closed like 6 yards in a span of less than a second, and laid lumber on that boy. And then of course he got up and threw the hooks up because you know them Omega Psi Phi dudes. He had to throw the hooks up. So, but right now ESPN has Georgia with an 80%. This is a shocker for me. With all of this, if this doesn't tell you anything about how serious this game is, we know what Florida is. We've seen it with our own eyes, and ESPN is still giving Florida a 20% chance to win the game.
I think that's fair.
That's how up they get for these games.
I think that's fair. 20%.
Yeah, and then go along with that is where I think I said last time we're up by 4. We're picking them by 14. I can't speak right now. We're picking them by 14. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, so that's what I got. I am definitely, I'm not because I'm a homer. I'm definitely giving the edge to Georgia. I also am definitely going to say that Florida is going to come out and at least for the first quarter, maybe all of the first half, they are going to come out and they are going to huff and they are going to puff and they're going to give Georgia everything they got.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
I mean, they're going to give as good as they can get. It's going to be. I can see it for a minute being like, you talk about Clemson, Kentucky and Georgia beat the crap out of each other for a solid quarter. Nobody scored. So I think it'll be a lot like that. They're going to come out and beat and bang on each other for a while. You know what? I think Georgia's actually. I think Kirby is a student of Muhammad Ali, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because in the Clemson game, which we mentioned earlier, it was a low-scoring game for both of us. It's a low-scoring game for both of us, but the offense was able to pull out what they needed to pull out in order to get the win. And in the Kentucky game, there's a lot of two pile drivers beating on defenses that would not crack. So I think that Kirby is a student of Muhammad Ali, with the rope-a-dope. Remember the rope-a-dope when he let George Foreman just beat on his arms until he was tired, and then he took him out. I think there's a little bit of that at play with our defense. Like, we'll let you beat and bang on us for a minute, but you ain't gonna get a whole lot. And eventually, you're going to get tired. And once you get tired, we are going to take you out. What was the movie? The Great White Hype? Did either of you see that one? Marlon Wayans? Marlon Wayans and Woody Harrelson. Well, the whole thing was about a washed up black heavyweight champ that had they were trying to find somebody for him to fight, and they went and found this white kid from Boston that was the only person to ever knock him out as an amateur. And they got into the fight, and the dude was just beating on him and knocking him around the ring. And he finally punched him with this overhand right. And Damon stumbled a little bit, and then he said, "You trying to embarrass me on TV?" Gave him a 6-piece and dropped him, put him to sleep. So I think that's my whole point. My whole point is that that's kind of what the Georgia defense does. Is like they'll let you wear yourself out. Like, go on and wear yourself out. Eventually, you're gonna get tired, and when you do, this whooping's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what I have as a Georgia fan. I have hopeful optimism. I have all faith that Georgia will be able to. The Dogs will be able to accomplish that this week. So that's what I got. And if any of you gentlemen have anything else you want to add on top of that, please feel free to put the cherry on top of the sundae.
I mean, I kind of agree with you, Anthony. It's going to be one of the knockdown, drag-out fights, and we'll see who's on top of the end. I mean, like you said, it's going to be that first quarter. I think the first 5 minutes is going to be just everybody just amped up, and just it's going to be like a knockdown, drag-out.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a whole lot of moments during that game where you're going to hear the crowd go, especially in the first part, where you're just going to hear them go, oh, like the first hard hit.
Bodies flying everywhere. Yeah,
the first hard hit, maybe the first quarterback sack, maybe the first nasty block on a sweep or something like that. Like, I do not put it past Dan Mullen to pull some kind of sweep where he pulls his big boys and they're running down the field and they're trying to, get one of them to take on Dean and Milton and those guys. But I was going to say, I mean, do you think it's going to be more of a running type game, or is it there to pull out the home run ball every now and then? Or do you think it's going to be, a lot of passing yards or rushing yards? Your opinion? I'm going to pull a Babe Ruth. I'm calling a shot. If Georgia gets the ball to start, if Georgia gets the ball to start, you remember a few years back during the SEC championship game, first play from scrimmage, DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. Jake Fromm took 3 steps back, turned around, and hit him in stride. I see that same play with Brock Bowers.
That's great. Yeah, I can agree with that. Absolutely.
Or even better, watch this, because Kirby likes to play stuff close to the vest. Watch. Come game day, George Pickens is playing. If Pickens is playing, he's definitely going for the home run ball straight out the game. Knock you in the mouth, stand on the sideline, look at you and go, and what? I thought you knew.
To answer your question, I think it's going to be a ball control ball game. I think the biggest thing is going to be to get the ball running. We know what both those leading rushers for Florida are their quarterbacks. So either they're running that RPO, they're running that read option, they're doing something. They're running the ball, and that's going to need to be the lifeblood of them. So I think it's going to be you will have those after a turnover or start of a drive. You will have those home run. I definitely agree with you, and I definitely think Bowers and Pickens, Pickens shows up at our plays. I definitely think that's going to happen. But I think, Colin, I think it's going to be a ball control ball game. You guys have that committee of running backs. You're going to do it,
right.
And
Run
the quarter,
which is down by one because Milton is out this week. Which
I think it's going to be a running game for sure. And I mean, but that's what's worked. though, run the ball consistently. Let that open up the passing game. Let the mailman deliver the mail, but not, this isn't FedEx. You know what I'm saying? This isn't
deliver the mail.
It's not the overnight. He's just like, hey, let it get to you. It's on the ground. It's ground mail. It's the postal services. Let it get to you when it gets. Yeah, well, let it get to you when it gets to you.
Yeah, but look. Every now and again, you got to get yourself. Express. You got to get yourself an express mail or two.
Hey. Anytime mailman can get it express, you take it.
I'm telling you.
You don't expect it. You take it. You just like, all right, thanks, sir.
I think seriously, I'm not even kidding. If Pickens is in the game, that's going to change a whole dynamic.
Is he going to be 100% healthy?
That's the thing. I don't know. I think Kirby's really trying to hold him out to see, and maybe he'll get some garbage time plays, against Charleston Southern or against Missouri, because he really don't want to take a chance on hurting him. Right. They're definitely going to need him in the championship game, and they're definitely going to need him in the SEC championship, and they're definitely going to need him in the playoffs. And those are the three.
Remember, you reported last week that he has the straight line. He can run those straight line speed, but it's with him cutting and him, and breaking out of his routes. So, I mean, you can hit him like you said. Bring him in on the first play, go route, run the 9 route, and chuck it up. And if it doesn't work, all right, cool. Bring you back to the sidelines. Make sure everything is fresh. Stay on that bike. Make sure the blood is still flowing. But not every play this week at least. No. In the future,
No, he's not, because he has seen no game time. He got hurt in spring practice.
Yeah.
He got hurt in spring practice, so he's seen no game time this season. And the time to be testing him, taking his leg for a test drive, taking it for an extended test drive is definitely not against Florida. Because one of those boys is going to go out there and they're going to try and lay lumber on him just to prove it.
He'll have a target on his back for sure. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's not the time. Because that's just – look, you say Bama do what Bama do. That's what Florida does. Hey, that's the Florida man. They are in the state that is home to Florida man. And one of them Florida men in their orange and blue is going – you know what's funny? I don't like Florida's orange and blue color scheme. But I love Savannah State's orange and blue color scheme.
That's a little bit different.
But it's a different blue and a different shade of orange. I think it's what it is. But like one of them men in orange and blue is gonna go out there and I wouldn't put it past Dan Mullen to send one of his throwaway guys out there and be like, go out there and you know what to do. I got you, coach. And then
throw a bruiser out there for him.
Get the flag for the unsportsmanlike conduct, and then he's sitting on the sidelines, but Pickens is out, and we know that he's not going to – now he can't play in the SEC championship or the playoffs or the whatever. So, anyway, gentlemen, so I'm calling it. Georgia wins. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with the spread. Actually, I'm going to say Georgia wins probably pulling away. It's not going to be – I don't think it's going to be a big spread, but I think they're going to win pulling away like they did with Kentucky. Matter of fact, I think the defense is so pissed off that Kentucky scored 2 touchdowns. I think if Florida scores a touchdown, I'll be surprised because them boys you can see it on their face during the game when they scored their first touchdown. They were mad as hell, and then when they scored the second one, they were like, "Okay, it's time to tighten up." This defense is not like the defense of 2018, the year after the championship run. Did somebody get a big play on them and then they start pointing fingers at each other? I thought you had them. I thought just like the Spider-Man meme, they're all pointing. No, this team right here, I think they had to come to Jesus in the locker room, and I think they went hard in practice this week.
Yeah, and I think they play for each other too, man. I think that everybody's congealed and they've got a camaraderie. And with number 99, Mr. Jordan, and 88, and you got all these guys that are.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on, stop for a second there, Colin. Wait a minute, let me stop.
What happened?
Now it's only one other person when I'm talking about. I like to talk about the physical stature. But if you're gonna talk about Big Baby Davis, you gotta say it right. 6'6", 340 pounds. The man so big they had to give him the biggest number on the jersey. Big Baby Davis. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. I didn't mean to interrupt you, kind of stuff. Please continue.
Well, no. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just reiterating what you're saying. And it's like I'm thinking 14. I think it's gonna be over the spread. I think it's probably be. I don't even know if Florida's gonna get 10. I think they might get 10, maybe 13, 14 on us. But I believe we're gonna pull away, like you said. I think we're gonna have at least 30 points. It's gonna be that kind of win.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Got you. Well,
But I'm looking forward to the big play though. I'm looking for like the home run ball because I know it's going to come out. And the trick play, the Mullins probably got something up his sleeve, going to try to slide past Kirby, and vice versa. So we'll see. And I know it's going to be majority of the game's going to be on the ground, but I mean I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of stuff they pull out that bag.
I agree.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure, but I think it's about time to shut this thing down, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. We appreciate you. This is my man, on behalf of my man, Sean, the shout-out King Spencer, my homie, my brother from another, my Georgia brother, Colin. We appreciate you. We'll have some more stuff going on later on over the course of the weekend. Look out for that stuff right there. But we're going to go ahead and shut it down now. We are O-U-T. Oh, I forgot. Got to have a word from the pastor. Reach out and touch your neighbor. Especially if they're wearing red and black. Reach out and touch your neighbor. Say, neighbor, how about them dogs? Reach out and touch your neighbor on the other side and say, neighbor, how about them dogs? Go dogs. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get out of here. Until next time, This Week in SEC Football is out. If this thing will open up, we'll go ahead and play the closeout theme and we'll all go home. Oh, what are you doing? Where did it go? Why did it go away? No, Jesus. It closed on me. It's supposed to stay open. Stay open. You see my face, right?
Your new home for podcasts and original music. The Sagnif One Radio Network.